Hello and welcome to Yoruba Learning Academy, the open university for Yoruba language mastery and spiritual enlightenment.
Okay, so the Yoruba Foundation, we're in week 1, which is lesson 1. Lesson 1 is basically about, obviously what is Yoruba? Yoruba are people who originate from, obviously Africa, from West Africa, originate from a place known as Ile Oodua. Ile Oodua, which is why Yoruba people are referred to as Omo Oodua. Long pe wa Omo Oodua. So Ile Ife, Deni Orisun wa. Ile Ife. So there's a town in Ile Ife, which is where life started. According to the Yoruba cosmology, that's literally where life started. So the Yoruba people have been around. They were the first humans who visited the planet, who visited the earth. So Ile Ife, Ile Ife. That's where the Irumole landed when they first came into the world. So the Irumole are the primordial energy, the primordial forces who actually came down, who were sent down by Olodumare. Olodumare is the divine creator of everything, on earth and beyond, who created the world and all the universes. But when it was time that he wanted to make Ile Aye, which is the earth, he wanted to make it habitable. He wanted to make it livable because he was beginning to think about populating it with humans and animals. So he sent his children, the Irumole, to come down, which are the Irumole are the primordial forces of the world, to come down and basically shape the earth to make it livable, to obviously put everything in place for the humans that are going to come later on. So when we talk about the Irumole, we talk about Shango, which is also known as the god of iron. We talk about Oya.
Bàbá mi ẹ má bínú o, ṣé mo lè sáré béèrè ẹ jọ̀ọ́ nítorí Ọlọ́run ẹ má ní mo.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ẹ tẹ̀síwájú bá mi.
Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ṣé kinní yìí máa wà recorded dóò mo ti ń share ẹ o bóyá táwọn tó ń ráyè ń sìn téèyàn lè sọ pé lọ wo lesson báyìí ká lè fún ní orúkọ pé lesson 1 ní lesson 2 ní ká lè ìyẹn ni mo ní béèrè o ẹ má bínú o.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni lesson 1 ní lóòótọ́. Lesson 1 ní lóòótọ́. So yeah, definitely ẹ lè share, but it's also going to be recorded. So I'm gonna post the recording yẹn sórí YouTube channel sir. A dẹ̀ máa lè share fún àwọn ẹlòmíì tó bá ní ìlú.
Ẹ ṣeun ó ti da nǹkan tí ní ìmọ̀ nìyẹn sà ẹ má bínú.
Okay, ẹ ṣeun bá mi. So yeah, so the Irumole are basically the primordial forces of nature who came into the world, who were sent down to come and develop the world and make it a livable space. Okay, so we have Shango, we have we have Orunmila, the custodian of knowledge and wisdom. We have Oya, the wind. We have Yeye Oshushengeshe, the rivers and the seas. We have Olokun. There's Eshulalu Ogireko. Excuse me, Eshu is in charge of communication. Okay, Eshu is in charge of communication and justice. So he was the one who was basically like the intermediary between the Irumole and Olodumare. Is the messenger, is the one in charge of communication between the Irumoles, also communication between the Irumoles and Olodumare. But later on, obviously more recently, is when the humans started populating the earth. He also will manage communication as an intermediary between the humans, the Eniyan, and the Irumole, and also between the human and Olodumare. So Eshu is like Eshulalu Ogirioko Laroye. Is also in charge of distribution of fortune. So fortune, that means the good and the bad, because he's also tasked with maintaining the balance in the world. So that's Eshu Olailu's job, maintaining the balance in the world, making sure that the people are accountable for their thoughts and their action. So Eshu is like the distributor of fortune and misfortune. Okay, so and he's a very, very important Irumole for the world, but most importantly for Yoruba people, for melanated people, because Eshu is the one who governs the balance in the world. So if you do something, you reap what you sow. The person or the energy, the force which makes it so that you reap what you sow, that's Eshu. Okay, he stands in the crossroad. That's why they call Eshu Olushono. He stands at the crossroad of both physically as well as physically, emotionally, psychologically, as well as spiritually. So when it comes to distributing wealth as well as punishment, okay, for wrong deeds, or you could say accountability, Eshu is the one who sits in the middle of that decision. So obviously there are other forces like Ajay. Ajay is also an Erumole. So another force of a primordial force of nature. Ajay is wealth, trade, business. So that's a spirit as well. So basically, when we talk about Irumole, we are talking about the forces of nature that are responsible for governing different aspects of our reality, different aspects of the world, okay? Different aspects of Earth. If you think about everything, like water, there is an energy governing that. If you think about wealth, there's an energy governing that. There's Ogun, which governs war, as well as pathways. Okay, so if you look at the communities, societies that worship Ogun, you're going to notice that they mastered the art, the iron, the metal work. If you look at the Chinese, for instance, they're very good with dogs, don't they? So they worship Ogun a whole lot if you pay attention to the Chinese. Okay, so and so on and so forth, because Ogun is also the energy which governs technology. So anything created like technology, like metal, like iron, that's Ogun. Okay, and so on and so forth. We have Obatala, Oshala, and we have, there's a lot of primordial energy which governs different aspects of life. And from time to time, as humans, we rely on them for different things. Sometimes you don't even know that you're relying on them, but they're working anyway. These things are always in action. So for instance, I use an analogy a lot when it comes to things like gravity. So you see, gravity is like an unseen energy, but we know that we rely on gravity for everything that we do, okay? Because without gravity, we are not going to be able to live on this planet. Okay, because we're not going to have the right balance. Okay, we're not even going to be able to walk on the land without gravity. You see, gravity is in operation, isn't it? If you throw something in the air, it's going to come down. Okay, what goes up must come down. That's gravity. That's another force of nature. Okay, and obviously we have electromagnetic waves as well, which enables us to be able to do this kind of communication. Because electromagnetic wave is the same interpretation of it that we see in the internet network. Electromagnetic wave is also when it comes to radio channel, the radio system. But that's why, if you go into a place, you don't see electromagnetic waves with your naked eye, but you are able to. If you have a radio tuner, you could tune your radio into different channels, into different frequency, couldn't you? And then be able to hear people chatting and people talking on that frequency. You see? So what does that tell us? That tells us that as humans, we're not alone. There are nature's forces working around us all the time. So when we're talking about the Irumole, we are not talking about something abstract. We are not talking about something imaginary. We're not talking about superstition. Okay, we're talking about something real. Yes, it's unseen, but we can see their impact and their effect on in our physical reality. Okay. Àbọ̀rọ̀ àbọ̀yè ṣé dáadáa ni o. Mo ṣe bá jú ní lọ bàbá mi ọmọ Oòduà àbí ìyá mi nìyẹn.
Bàbá mi mo kí yín o.
Okay, ó gbọ́ àtọ́ bàbá mo ṣe bá jú ní lọ. Ẹ ṣeun bàbá mi ọmọ Kẹ́hìndé Asrọ̀ mo ṣe bá yín náà o. Ẹ káàbọ̀. Ẹ̀yin náà lè máa bọ̀ lókè. Ìyá mi Àkẹ́jù mo ṣe bá jú ní lọ o. So yeah, so when you hear people talking about the Irumole, it is not something abstract. Okay, it is not something like outlandish, like something imaginary. No, these are nature's forces that govern different aspects of the world. I see that sometimes some people, they don't understand it, but as soon as you start explaining it in the context of electromagnetic energy, in the context of gravity, okay, in the context of radioactive waves, which powers the internet, which powers the radios. People begin to understand it a bit better. So I like referencing that analogy a lot. Bàbá mi ọmọ Kẹ́hìndé Asrọ̀ mo ṣe bá jú ní lọ ṣé dáadáa ní sà.
Àbọ̀rúbọyò, ẹ kúrọ̀lẹ́ gbogbo ilé o.
Mo kí yín o, mo ṣe bá abéjì o, ṣé dáadáa ní sà?
Ẹ dúpẹ́ Ọlọ́run.
Ok o, mèmí wọ̀ pé ẹ̀yin gan ọmọ yín ẹ̀yin náà ní ọmọdé wọ́n lè ní ìdí ètò yìí.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Yeah. So kò bá dákẹ́ fà ọmọ ra o. Yeah. So basically, we're just having a quick recap about what we went through and what we learned last week. I was just explaining in lesson 1, like I said, to those who were here on Saturday, in this program, in this learning program, we are not only talking about learning the language. You have to learn the culture with it, because when it comes to Yoruba language, you have to be able to apply the culture. It accelerates your learning. It accelerates your mastering of the language if you understand the context, the cultural context. Because it just I don't want to separate the two, because the language is the culture and the culture defines the language. So we have to take both with us in order to help the learners to get to learn faster, to understand what they're learning. Because when you understand the cultural aspect, everything else falls into place. Okay. So I just wanted to explain. Okay, who are the Yoruba people? We are the first inhabitants of this world. According to record, according to the Yoruba cosmology, our land, which is Ile-Ife, is where life actually started. Ibẹ̀ ni àwọn Rúmọlẹ̀ rọ̀ sí, àwọn Rúmọlẹ̀, the lower Diosha, okay? And right from the outset, it talks about the process of reincarnation, because all those nature's forces, they came into the world initially as a Rúmọlẹ̀, as energy. Okay, as nature's energy, but some of them then got reincarnated and they returned in human form. Okay, àwọn dẹ̀ là ń pè ní òòṣà lẹ́nìí. Some of them returned in human form, carrying that energy with them, and they were able to to continue the process of creation, setting the world in which we exist today. So when it comes to things like trees, animals, plants, humans, even the some Irumole took part in the creation of the humans. Okay, Adesheba Baba, Odua, Asheba, Adesheba Obatala, Epa Osha. So so when you study the Yoruba cosmology, you understand that the Yorumole, they cannot be separated from the world. They're not separated from our reality. They created our reality. Obviously under the assignment given to them by Olodumare, but they created our reality. So hence why they still have an impact over it today. Last time when we met, I was saying that Awonumole, we may not see them, but they have they now, you could call them energy or spirit, but we see that the spirit has an impact over the physical reality, over the physical world. If you doubt it, go outside and throw something up. It's going to come down. That's gravity. I've already used the internet, the radioactive wave, which governs the internet, which powers the internet, as well as the one. I've also used the radio system. That couldn't work without obviously the nature's forces, nature's energy, which is actually powering it. Okay, so àṣebá Junilo, àṣebá àwọn aṣíwájú wa, àṣebá gbogbo àwọn igba Rúmọlẹ̀, gbogbo àwọn òòṣà, àṣebá gbogbo àwọn babaláwo, àṣebá Ọ̀rúnmìlà, bàbá Kẹyọ̀, bàbá Dúdú Òkè Gẹ̀tì, Ẹlẹ́rìí Ìpín, àṣebá Àrẹ, àṣebá Ifá. So obviously we have to acknowledge that. So lesson 2 goes straight into the Yoruba alphabet. Okay, for those who attended last week or those who are on the live today, ṣé ẹnìkan lè rán wa létí? Ìyá mi Akẹ́jù mo ṣe bá Junilo, mo kí yín o, ṣé dáadáa ni. Àbúrò mi náà dẹ̀ lè nídìí program yìí o. Potolo Bams, I hope you're well, sir. Good evening, greetings, I hope you're well. Okay, we're just going through the week 1 of the Yoruba learning program again. Okay, so for those who have signed up, we are going to be holding 2 sessions for every module, 2 sessions a week. So there's going to be a midweek section on Wednesday at 6 p.m. UK time. In addition to that, there's also going to be a Saturday session, because for those people who have contacted us, who have engaged, and also some of whom have signed up, not everybody can attend the midweek program. Some people can attend on a Saturday, so we're going to be having a repetition. So initially on Wednesday, for those who can only attend on weekends, we'll have a repeated session on Saturday as well. Okay, so that's the way we're structuring everything. Potolo Bams, I hope you're well. Bàbá mi Potolo mo ṣe bá Juni lọ. Ìyá mi Akẹ́jù. Ẹ kú àtàtàárọ̀ ìyá mi ṣe dáadáa ní mà. Mo ṣe bá ó. Ifá orí mi rèé. Ó dà pé ìyá mi Akẹ́jù ṣì busy lọ́wọ́ ni. Àbúrò mi náà yẹ kí ní ètò yìí o.
Àrí mi rèé.
Ṣé dáadáa ni ìyá mi? Mo ṣe bá Juni lọ. Tẹ́ bá lè bá mi fa àbúrò mi mọ́ra. Òun gan ó lè benefit nínú ètò.
Bóyá network mi ni. Ó dà pé network mi ò stable, I don't know.
Okay, mo ti ń gbọ́ yín sí mà. Mo ti ń gbọ́ yín sí bọ̀ ó dà pé I think there's a bit of a delay. Potolo Bams, thanks for joining us, sir. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so we're going to start again with the alphabet. For those who attended the last session, you should already know now how many alphabets there are in the Yoruba, how many letters are in the Yoruba alphabet. Do people remember? Could somebody please remind us, how many letters do we have in the Yoruba alphabet? Okay, Potolo is at work, okay. I'm glad you're able to join us still, but yeah. So there are 25 letters and it's going to be clear. We have A, B, D, A, F, G, B, E, G, K, L, M, N, O, B, R, C, Sh, T, U, W, Y. So if we count that, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So the total is 25. Okay? 25 letters in the Yoruba alphabet. So could somebody tell me, so what are the letters in the English? No, it's 120. Yeah, well, yeah, potentially, yeah. Because obviously every alphabet has different tone. Yes, Potolo, we have different tones as well. So for every alphabet, there are multitudes of tones. Yamin. So yeah, there are multitudes of tones in terms of their pronunciation. Okay, so for instance, Atowayi, because with every vowel there are different ways, different tone that they carry, which is why in the Yoruba language the tone is actually carried by the vowels. Okay, so the vowels like A, E, O, or U. Okay, those are the vowels. So if you look at one letter, for instance, like A, it could have oh high. There are different tones, right? We can have oh high.
Boruboyo M. Babu.
Babami.
Quick observation.
Go, okay.
Àwa tí a wà lórí ìkànnì à ń dí ojú tábìlì yẹn lọ́wọ́, àwọn àwòrán wa kò jẹ́ ká rí tábìlì yẹn dáadáa.
Oh.
Is there any way tẹ́ lè wá wá ṣe tó yẹ pé àbí tó bá dà yẹ pé ká bọ́lẹ̀ kí àwọn èèyàn lè rí tábìlì rí nǹkan tẹ́ ẹ̀ kọ́?
Okay, ó ti yé mi, ó ti yé mi. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n mọ̀ nǹkan tí mo lè ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn. How about now?
Ó yìí dá báyìí, ó dá báyìí.
Ṣé ó ti dá báyìí?
Ó dá bẹ́ẹ̀.
Okay. Ẹ ṣeun tẹ́ jẹ́ kí n mọ̀ tó lé mi ò lè èmi ò rí yẹn o. Ẹ ṣeun bá mi. So basically, when it comes to the vowels, we have different tones. Okay, we have a low tone, we have a mid tone, and then we have high. And I'm going to demonstrate that very shortly. So for instance, if we look at a, we have a, and there is a framework which I provided in the last lecture to say that for the learners, if you keep in mind anything that okay, let's say we have do, re, mi. So this is the framework we're going to be using as for guidance. Okay, when it comes to do, that's the low tone, and no tone is denoted by when you see a leftward facing mark. Àmì tó kọrí sí òsì la máa fi identify the low tone. When it comes to the middle tone, sometimes it's represented or it's identified with a dash like this, okay? But in other instances, it's blank. So if you're reading any Yoruba lettering, if you don't see a mark at the top of it, understand that that's a middle tone. If you see a mark like this, like a dash, it's the same thing essentially. That also means middle tone. And then we have the mi is a rightward facing mark. The tonal marking on it is going to be right facing the right. So essentially we have do facing the left, re, which is neutral, and then mi facing right. Do, re, mi, do, re, mi. If you keep that in mind as we go along, the rest is going to be a lot easier for people to grasp. It's going to be a lot easier for people to understand. But you just have to keep that framework in mind. Okay? So when it comes to a, we've got just like do, re, mi. So there are 3 different tones associated with that. Let's look at another vowel. This is a. So, okay, actually, I'm going to write in small letters, just some vocal to help people understand how to actually pronounce the sound. So this is D, A. Okay, so this is A. Again, this could have a what? Or low tone, which is facing the left, a middle tone or high tone. Okay, you're going to notice that when it comes to the Yoruba alphabet, it looks like a repetition, doesn't it? When you see what you may regard as E in the English alphabet, it looks like they're repeated here. You are also going to notice another repetition here. You're going to notice another repetition here. They're not actually repetition. They're completely different letters. Okay? So this is A, is the one which doesn't have a bottom accent. And this is E, which is pronounced as almost as if it was an EH. Okay? Almost as if it was an EH. So that's the way it's pronounced. Okay? So again, you could have a, which represents the low tone A, the middle tone A, and the high tone A, do, re, mi, do, re, mi. Again, so if you keep this framework in mind, this do, re, mi framework, it makes it a lot easier. It makes everything a lot easier. And obviously we have fi, this is gi, and this is B. B is almost the same. It's the same B that you may find in rugby. Okay? B. So this is G, this is B. G, B. Okay? And obviously when it comes to the EH, that's also, there's 3 different tones associated with that. That's always, so all the Yoruba vowels, they always have 3 different tones. Okay? They can have a low tone, which is do, or middle tone, which is re, or high tone. And the Yoruba language is a language of tonality, okay? Because depending on the tone, the same letter or that same word could have a multitude of interpretations, depending on the tone, depending on the tonal marking. Okay? It could have a whole different interpretation. And I'm going to explain that very shortly. Okay? And then we have A, so it's the same way with representing what? Representing the three different directions in which you could actually place the tonal marking. Okay, so that's very important to understand. And we have the Fi, Gi, B. R, B, D, A, F, E, G, B. Okay, he, when it comes to letter H in the English alphabet, in the Yoruba alphabet, it's actually pronounced he, almost as if it's a H double E. E, the I is E, okay? You can say E, G, Ki, Li, Mi, Ni, O, and then this one is O, almost as if it's an O-R-H. Almost as if it's an O-R-H. So this is O, and the other one is O. Then this one is P. It's not P for Peter. It's not P in the sense of P for Peter. It's actually P. It's almost as if there's a K in front of the P and an I at the end of it. So it's the way it's pronounced is P. You have to work the, you have to work the jaws a little bit more. A bit, you have to work the jaws a bit. It's a bit more forceful than P. It's actually B, and this one is B, P, B. Those two letters are going to take some practicing. Okay, before you actually master their pronunciation, you're going to have to practice it because they're going to sound unfamiliar initially. So this is pronounced almost as B, Re. C, again, that looks like another duplication, doesn't it? It looks like I'm duplicating S, but I'm not. This is C, and then this one is she. You see, this one is C, and the other one is she, because it's got a bottom accent. That's the difference. When you notice the bottom accent, that actually means it's she. Okay, you pronounce it almost in the same way as if you were trying to tell somebody to be quiet. It's shh, it's she. It doesn't mean quiet. We're going to get to the meaning shortly. And then we have the T, U, almost sounds like O-double-O-H is how you pronounce it. U, and this is we, ye. Okay, so compared to the English alphabet, can we identify what letters are missing? Can we identify what letters are missing compared to the English alphabet? Àwọn letters wo ló wà nínú alphabet English tí kò sí nínú eléyìí?
Q.
Ẹ ṣeun ìyá mi. Q. Okay, what's missing?
Z.
C.
So Q
C for
means.
Charlie.
Kí lẹ wí?
C for Charlie.
Yeah, that's true. C no miss. What else is missing?
Z for zebra.
Z, àsìkò Z sílẹ̀ ṣeun bá mi. Kí ló tún miss?
Q. C.
Mo ń gbọ́ tẹ́nìkan àbúrò mi tó wà bẹ́ẹ̀ ti get it right bẹ́ẹ̀. Well, you mentioned something. Say if I should be lóore nìyẹn, what did you say?
Nah, he didn't say anything.
Ó mention nìkan kan tí mo gbọ́.
TX.
X, but X kan ló sọ, ó sọ nǹkan míì. Àti fẹ́ẹ̀ débẹ̀, ó kẹ́yọ kan. Okay, there's one. Who's gonna get the last one?
C. Okay.
V.
Thank you. Yes.
V for vase.
Exactly.
Yeah, you said V.
I thought I heard V, yes. That's why I wanted him to repeat it. Mo mọ̀ kí mo gbọ́.
Ẹ wá dá lóhùn kò fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ ni.
Ó ti jú. Kò fẹ́ embarrass àwọn bàbá mi. Ifashemilore, well done to you. I'm glad you're with us. Okay? So in the Yoruba alphabet, there are only 25 letters. Okay? So we don't have Q. We don't have Z. There is no C. There's no X and definitely no V. And I'm going to explain why. Okay? That's because when it comes to Q, that, you know, Q, that that's only K carries that sound. When in the Yoruba language, okay, that's what I explain. But when the way I explain it to people, the Yoruba language is a lot more straightforward. We, you know, in English, for instance, and it's Yoruba language, the letters are also consistent in their application. When it comes to English, sometimes you can have, when it comes to the sound, sometimes it's represented with what? Sometimes it's represented with a C. Like when, for instance, when you want to spell car, that car, you see, sometimes they use a C for that kind of sound. But also, in other instances, you are also going to find that they also use K for depending on the scenario. Sometimes they are going to use K. Okay, like for instance, when it comes to something like kilometers, like kilometers, you see, in that instance, why are they're not using C anymore for that same sound? Now they're using what? They're using K. Okay, in other instances, you may also find for that same sound, they're also using Q in other instances, like quarter or quadrant. You see, it's quarter, it's quadrant. So what does that show? That shows lack of consistency, doesn't it? Because it's exactly the same sound. Why do they need different letters in different instances just to pronounce just a single sound? So in the Yoruba alphabet, it's very, very simple. The only letter which governs in all its applications is just K. Okay? When you hear K, you know it's only K. Only that letter K can be used in that kind of scenario. So there is no confusion in the Yoruba alphabet. We don't have different letters carrying the same sound. And then, because the English is not consistent, for instance, if you want to say Charlie, okay, or if you want to say celery, the same letter C that you see in front of car, which begins with what? And then in celery, that same C is now pronounced as an S. It's not consistent, is it? But we don't have that problem in Yoruba language. Okay, we don't have that problem. Every single letter, they do exactly what they do in every scenario, in any context. When you see K, the beginning of that letter is going to represent the K sound. Okay? Which is why we don't have C and we don't have Q, because they're not needed. K always carry that K sound. So we don't need any other letters duplicating that same sound and confusing people. Okay? And when it comes to S, the C as well. If somebody is going, something that starts with like sleep or slither, only S, or somebody, only S. We're not going to be using C in some instances like we see in celery, and then in other instances like sleep, we're using S. So what's the difference then? That breaks the rule, doesn't it? But we don't have that problem in Yoruba language. Every letter is consistent. The application is always consistent. Okay? It's not that for the same sound, sometimes we use one letter, sometimes we use another one because we feel like it. Okay? So yeah, so we don't have that problem in Yoruba. So we've got 25 letters that are always consistent 100% of the time. Always consistent in their usage and their application. Always consistent. Okay? So let's go through the letters one more time. We have A, B, D, A, F, G, B, H, I, G, K, L, M, N, O, W, R, C, Sh, T, U, W, Y. Okay, this one, it sounds almost as if the way you pronounce it is almost as if there's like an HI in front of it. When you see the letter S with a bottom accent, with a bottom mark, it becomes a she. It's not just a C, it becomes a she. Okay, that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so 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 what do we have here? So we have how many letters that are, you know, that look alike, that are doing different things. We've got A àti E, we've got the G àti B, we've got the C àti She, and we've got the O àti O. Tó ń jọra wọn, but they're not the same because the accent that they carry actually changes their character. The accent that they carry completely changed their character. So that's something to keep in mind, okay? And what I was saying, according to Bartolo's comment earlier, what I was saying earlier is also what, when it comes to the vowels, obviously the vowels are the same with the English language. A, E, O, U. Okay? So these are the vowels. Okay? So these are the vowels. And like I said, the vowels actually govern the tone. So when it comes to, it's not the consonants, there's the vowels which actually govern the tone. So if we try to, like this one, like I said earlier, when it comes to A, there's 3 different tones, 3 different ways that the vowels can actually go. There are 3 different tones in the Yoruba language. There's a low tone, there's a middle tone, and there's a high tone. And the framework that I provided earlier of do, re, mi, we can use that to kind of shape or to identify which tonal marking we need to apply. When it's a do, like I said earlier, it needs to have what? A left-facing tonal marking at the top of it. When it's a re, sometimes re is represented with what? Is represented with a dash, and in other scenarios, sometimes there is nothing on top of it. So when it comes to re, you're going to see sometimes there's a dash at the top of it, and in other instances, there is going to be nothing. It's just going to be blank. When it's blank, you should know that's a middle tone. Okay? When it's blank, it's always a middle tone, or sometimes there's a dash in front of it. Okay? And then when it's mi, mi is a high tone. You're going to see a right facing tonal marking when it comes to mi. Okay, we should always keep that in mind. So what do we have? So can we start applying the letters? Let's do an exercise here. So when it comes to the application, let's start with A. I'm going to start with aja, which means dog. Or we could have apa, which means arm. Okay? So if we start with that, could somebody let us know what tonal marking we should have on aja? Aja. Aja.
Re, mi.
Ẹ ṣeun ìyá mi. Ẹ ṣeun. Exactly. Re, mi. So níbo yẹ kí n fi ìlà sórí a yìí? Irú ìlà wo ló yẹ kí n wá sí?
Re, mi. A tó gbẹ̀yìn ni. Ajá. J. G. Sorry.
So
Ẹ ní
aja.
fi àmì sórí A, ẹ máa fi àmì sórí J. Ajá. Or A. A tó gbẹ̀yìn.
Ẹ mọ̀ pé àwọn vowel lọ máa ń fi àmì sí, a kì í fi àmì sórí consonant.
A tó gbẹ̀yìn.
A tó gbẹ̀yìn. Irú àmì wo ló yẹ kí n fi sí? Àmì òkè, àmì ìsàlẹ̀, àbí
Re,
àmì
mi.
àárín?
Mi lọ sí òkè.
Lọ sí right òkè. Ẹ ṣeun, lọ sí right àbí?
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Ẹ ṣeun ìyá mi. Then we have apá. Apá, irú àmì wo ló yẹ kí apá ní o?
Apá, re, mi.
So yẹ kí
Ṣé màmí ni?
ṣé kí n fi kankan sórí A?
No, ẹ fi the same àmì lòun àtajá, ajá, re, mi,
Ẹ
apá,
ṣeun
same
ìyá mi. Ẹ ṣeun. A lè fi kankan sórí A yẹn torí pé àmì àárín ni. Okay? So ajá, apá, ajá, which is middle and high. Apá, middle and high again. Ẹ ṣeun ìyá mi. Ṣé ká try ẹ̀ kan sí? Okay, ẹ jẹ́ ká ṣe aago.
Rere. Kò lámì.
Aago which means watch.
Rere. Kò ní
Rere
àmì.
àbí? Ṣó yẹ kí n ṣe a máa fi àmì kankan sórí àyàn àbí ó yẹn?
Kò lámì. Kò lámì. Re ò lámì.
Méjèèjì ò lámì àbí?
Yeah.
Aago ẹ ṣeun.
Ẹjọ́ mo ní question o.
Ẹ kí sáré pàtẹ́wọ́ fún ìyá mi náà. Ìyá mi àti àbúrò mi Fáṣemí lóore. Okay, ẹ tẹ̀síwájú bá mi.
Ẹ ṣé o ìyá wa tẹ́kan fún wa ní gbogbo ìdáhùn sí ìbéèrè wa.
Ìyá wa ló fẹ́ gba trọ́fì lénìí.
Professor ni ìyá wa.
Ẹ ṣeun.
Ẹ jọ nǹkan tí ẹ ṣe wà tó ṣe máa ń confuse mi nípa àmì yẹn. Mo mọ dòrèmí yẹn but ìgbà míì tí n bá gbọ́rọ̀ màá túnṣe máa ro dòrèmí yẹn lórí mi, màá máa rò pé ṣé ó tún ní method mi, ṣó lọ́nà míì tẹ́ máa fi ń mọ àmì yẹn àbí èèyàn máa tún máa ro bí bóhùn yẹn ṣe lọ sí kíyàn tó wá gba the correct àmì, ṣé èèyàn máa kọ́kọ́ sound ẹ̀ sí tí èèyàn náà ni àbí báwo àbó tí ó ti lọ́nà míì tẹ́ máa ń lò bí àwa speed tí àwa if you get it mo fi hàn bóyá fọ́múlà kan tó wà tí mi ò mọ̀ sókè bóyá kẹjá wa sí.
Okay, ẹ jẹ́ kí n kọ́kọ́ dáhùn náà. Very very good question, but ní ọ̀dọ̀ ti tèmi ọ̀nà kan péré tèmi mọ̀ nìyẹn o, but mo ṣe àkíyèsí nǹkan kan nígbà tí mo ti ń kọ́lẹ̀ ó wà much faster and much easier than ìgbà tí mo kí n kọ́ tí mo kàn fi dòrèmí yẹn fi gbé lásán. But when I started writing them down, it's actually increasing it. I'm able to to do it a lot faster just have the benefit of àkọsílẹ̀ pé mò ń kọ sílẹ̀. Ìyá mi Akẹ́jù ṣe mọ ọ̀nà kan tẹ̀mí mọ̀ nìyẹn o.
Ẹ mọ̀ nǹkan ṣe rí àmì yẹn èmi gan mi ò mọ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀ bọ̀ ó simple. Later tí mo mọ̀ ni mo wá rí pé ó simple. Ṣe rí bóyá nísìnyẹn sọ yí pé ìyálóde tó máa ní kẹfà mi sí ìyálóde ṣe mọ̀ pé àmì mẹ́ta náà la ní dòrèmí la ní.
Dòrèmí náà ni.
Tẹ́ bá ní ìyálóde ẹ wà hun sínú ẹni.
Exactly.
Get tẹ́ bá ti hun sínú ẹ wà wò ẹ hun sínú ni ìyálóde ó pé kẹfà mi sí ó yẹ fà mí sí ìyálóde.
Okay, that color ìyálóde. Kí ni sound like? That sounds like do.
Ẹ máa hún sínú ni ẹ máa hún sínú.
Ẹ máa hún sínú.
Do.
Yeah. Kí ni yẹn sound like? Do mi.
Do mi.
Yeah. Do mi àti kí ni lóde?
Do.
Lóde. Mi. Ṣé ti rí pé easy tẹ bá ń
hún sínú ó easy.
Àmì yẹn lèmi náà àmì yẹn is the only way I know it, but ẹ láti hàn mẹ̀ sínú bí ìyàwó ṣe sọ lóòótọ́.
Tẹ bá sọ pé nísìnyí wípé
tẹ
bá sọ pé Yorùbá
míre
lóde ìyálóde dòmí míre
ẹni pé
ìyálóde kẹ sọ pé Yorùbá nísìnyí Yorùbá.
Yorùbá kí ni yẹn sọ?
Ṣé mọ̀ pé yẹn re ni re do.
Exactly. Re do mi.
Ẹ gẹ̀ẹ́sì bẹ́ẹ̀.
Re do mi Yorùbá.
Should I lock the door? Because I don't think we're going to make...
So tá bá lo do re mi yẹn ó make everything easy, but èmi notice pé if you want to be able to do it faster with practice ni tẹ́ bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń kọ́lẹ̀ through practice kí ni ẹ yóò máa wà a lot easier.
Labalábá ó yẹ ẹ fà mí sí labalábá.
Okay, so labalábá okay bá mi ẹ fà mí sí labalábá.
Rere àbí. Ṣé rere mímí.
That's it. Very simple. Tẹ́lẹ̀ tá ẹ pé ẹ sì mọ̀ pé rere nìyẹn.
Mímí gbogbo ẹ̀yọ́dé. Ẹ pàtàkì fún mi náà.
Tẹ́ bá fẹ́ pe dùn ẹ pé ẹ mọ̀ pé kò jọra wọn. Tẹ́ bá ń fa bá ti jẹ̀bẹ̀ tẹ́ bá kọ́ hun sínú tẹ́ bá gbé tẹ́ bá ṣe tẹ́ bá tún wá kọ́ ẹ̀rì tó máa easy fi sílẹ̀ tó bá lè tí tó filẹ̀ kúnlẹ̀ fún mi.
Yami, but yeah, I fully agree with the Yami Akeju. You just need to hum it. If you're humming it in the context of do, re, mi, it's easy to understand what direction the tone is facing. Is it a high tone? Is it a mid tone? Or is it a low tone? It makes it a lot easier. But obviously, it improves with practice as well. But just use this framework of do, re, mi as your guiding principle, and you'll be fine. Okay, so ṣé ká tún try àwọn letters mi àti ṣe ìyálòdì àti ṣe Yorùbá ṣé ká tún mú B àti lo A ẹjẹ́ à lo B so ká bá fẹ́ ṣe bàbá so bàbá mi kí nìyẹn o bàbá
gbọ́ràn.
kí ni bàbá
domi.
ẹ ṣeun
ṣẹ́rí pé ó lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn.
ẹ ṣeun ẹ rí pé yẹn wà yìí sí àbí ẹ ti ń pìkẹ́ àbí ẹ ti ń pìkẹ́
practice make perfect.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni,
ṣé ká tún ṣe míì
ó ti ń connect díẹ̀díẹ̀.
ok ẹja lo D kí ni dáadáa
dòre
bá mi ṣọ́gẹ̀tì yẹn right kí lẹ́yìn fi pé kí ni dáadáa.
Ṣé mo tún máa bá ìyá wa jiyàn báyìí ni?
kò sẹ́ni tó mọ̀ tán èèyàn lè gbé gbági ńgbà míì.
Dáadáa dòre.
Exactly. Dada, it is what? Do, re, do. Orí eléyìí ni o. Do, re. Ṣẹ̀rípò ti easy bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn. Okay, so A, B, D, A. So kí ni ká tún ṣe? Ẹ jẹ́ à ṣe ejò. Kí ni ejò?
Rédò. Bí àwọn kan ti ṣe jù lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn náà.
Rédò. Àti ìṣèjò.
ajá la ṣe.
Yeah, so
ajá rèmi a ṣe apá rèmi the same thing.
ó ṣẹlẹ̀ ń bẹ̀ yẹn o ó dàbẹ̀ ni pé àwọn èèyàn power tap ní TikTok ṣe dà wá nù ẹ má bínú o mo ṣe bá ojú nílọ o. Yeah, apologies for that. I wasn't really paying attention. I think that was on TikTok.
I'm a David to the darling. Everyone so happy. Only this place you love me so much. Like shalom, Mama. Everyone so happy. If I should go, no, she go. Boy, I won't. To my bro, to my cuckoo. Anytime, my show, take him up. Aṣáájú ṣe ká má ṣara wa, wọ́n ìfẹ́ ní káfíńdò. Ọkùnrin máa ṣe bí ọkùnrin, obìnrin máa ṣe bí obìnrin. Alábí mi ti yọjà tó bá fi mí. Èmi ó ṣọkọ yà mí. Amadébi ti wù dọ́dọ́ alẹ́, èmi wọ́n ṣọkọ yà mí. Orí mi pèsè wù lọ́ọ́ fi ṣọkọ, èmi wọ́n ṣọkọ yà mí. Lade, shalom, Moko, everyone so happy. Ìyáni fáyọ̀, àpẹtẹ bí mi o, àpẹtẹ bí mi o. Can't you see me there? Sorry, if you are Mukulumuke, Maju, Mayabi, Mukulumuke, Maju, Mayabi, I'm a baby to your darling. Only this place you will love me so good. Thank you very much. Like you already know, now is the time. The groom is here, the bride is here. Now is the time for them to, yeah. Let me show you. I'm a David to the darling.
Yeah, welcome back, everyone. Yeah, welcome back, everyone. I don't know what happened earlier, but yeah, it was that was TikTok playing games. Greetings, Yami, just me. I hope you're well. I hope you're having a very good day over there. So yeah, greetings to you as well. So we were just going through the program, but TikTok threw us out. I don't know what happened there. Maybe your power tap. So for those who were on, please come back up. Let's continue.
Kí ló dé tí TikTok já wa dànù?
Kò tiẹ̀ yé mi o. That was TikTok.
Orí wọn yìí ní sàn fẹ́ ká ṣèdè wa ní àbórí wọn bù ni.
Èmi wò kí bóyá torí àwọn èèyàn power tap èmi kò tiẹ̀ rántí.
No, power tap ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ wà ń bẹ̀ functional. It doesn't matter.
But sometimes it does that. Sometimes. Tó bá ti pẹ́ táwọn èèyàn bá ti power tap ní ìmọ̀ kan tó ṣẹlẹ̀. But ẹ má bínú, sorry about that. Hopefully àwọn èèyàn máa padà wá. Just me, I hope you're well.
I am, brother. Thank you. And you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Perfect.
So thanks for joining us. So we were just going through the lesson 1. Hopefully everyone will come back. Ẹ̀yin bàbá mi, ẹ̀yin ìyá mi, ẹ send request tẹ́ bá ti padà wá o. Tẹ́ bá ti padà wá, ẹ send request o. So yeah, so we've done the alphabet, 25 letters in the Yoruba alphabet from A to Y, A, B, D, A, F, E, G, B. H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, R, C, Sh, T, U, W, Y. I provided some pronunciation guide underneath each letter as well, just to indicate how it needs to be pronounced. We've identified the differences between the Yoruba alphabet and the English alphabet. So in the Yoruba alphabet, we don't have these letters Q, Z, C, X, and V. Okay, we don't have that because we don't have duplication of letters we don't have different letters representing the same sound in the Yoruba alphabet. No, there is consistency in the Yoruba alphabet. If you have a letter pronounced in a particular way, it's consistent. So wherever, in any instance, in any context, it's always consistent. And I provided some example like the like C, for instance, which is the S without the marking, and the she, which is like pronounced like she, which means to open. Okay. And we've identified the tone. Like I said, the Yoruba language is a language of tonality. The tone is what drives the meaning. Okay? Every letter, when it comes to the vowels, they've got no meaning associated with them. It's the tone which determines what they actually are. So in Yoruba language, you can have one word having different meanings, a multitude of meanings, depending on the tonal tone that it carries. And we've identified some examples of that in operation. Like A could have a low tone, it could have a high tone or a middle tone. And we've demonstrated it with some examples here. Like A, ja. We've also provided what? We've identified the vowels. And obviously anything that's not vowel is a consonant. We are also using a framework of do, re, mi. do, re, mi. So that framework where, that's how you know. It helps you to quickly identify what tonal marking should a letter carry or a word. What tonal marking should it carry? Do is represented with the leftward facing accent, left facing mark. Re is represented with sometimes with a dash at the top of the vowel, sometimes it's blank. So when you don't see any marking at the top of it, you know that should carry a re sound. And when it's the mi, you're going to notice there's a right facing tonal mark at the top of mi. Okay, so as you encounter Yoruba wordings, all you need to do is just hum it out to yourself, hum it inside you, within yourself. It tells you, the humming of the word tells you what tonal marking you should associate with it. We've used some examples here, like aja meaning dog, aja, re mi. So you know that the A should not carry a tonal marking because it's a middle tone, and then you've got the A, which is mi, the mi should carry a rightward facing one, and you've got apa, which is basically the same sound. Apa meaning arm, apa re mi, apa re mi again, and then we've got the go meaning watch, go. Go. If you hum it to yourself, what do you have there? Which means what? Re. So two middle tone, we leave it blank because again, the middle tone is represented by the blank, or you could put a dash in front of it. In some instances, you're going to notice there's a dash in front of it. But I think majority of the time, in most instances, you're not going to see anything. Okay, because obviously putting that dash in front of it for a middle tone, that's overworking. You're doing too much work. Why don't you just leave it blank? So in a lot of instances, it's going to be blank. Go meaning re. And we stepped forward. We also did some example of with ba. If you hum that to yourself, what do you have? What does that sound like? That sounds like do mi, which means low tone, then high. Ba, and that's what we've done here. The low tone is identified with the what? With the leftward facing tonal mark. And the high tone, the ba, the mi, is identified with what? A right facing tonal mark. And then we have da. Baba means father, by the way. And then we have da meaning locks. Like my hair, so da, what do we have there? If we hum it in, is So what's that? This should actually be do, re. This shouldn't actually have any tonal mark at all, because it's do, re. Da is do, re. Da. It's not da. It's not mi. It's not re. Mi is what? It's not do. Mi is da. Da is do, re. Okay? And we've done ejo. Ejo meaning snake. So what do we have there? Ejo. That sounds like re do. So the A, we're not going to put any tonal marking on that because it's a middle tone. And then we've got what? We've got a high tone of jo, which sounds like A, jo, re, do. Actually, this should go like this. A, jo is re, do. It should be, that's what it should look like. Re, do, yeah. Okay, Ejo meaning snake. Okay, it's got a middle tone and the low tone. Okay, and the low tone, which should be facing leftward. And then we have the air meaning bird. If we hum that in, what do we have? Yeah, that sounds like Ray, doesn't it?
Re.
Ben.
Yeah.
Yami, that sounds like Ray, yeah, Ray, okay? So basically, like we said, the key thing to learn is the framework of do, re, mi. By applying this framework and humming it to yourself when you hear a word or when you see a word, it helps you to understand exactly what tonal marking it should carry. Okay?
Do, re, mi. Kò
Do,
wọlé.
re, mi. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ẹ
Kò
ṣe
wọlé. Kò wọlé.
Do, re, mi. So yeah.
Wọlé.
So that's very important to learn. For those who have registered, you would have received the learning pack for today. And there are some exercises in there that you will need to carry out. So those who have registered I forgot. Most people, it's funny, most people who have registered have actually chosen Saturday. But obviously there are people who are interested in registering, but for one reason or the other, they just haven't completed their registration. That's fine. But it just means we don't...
Níbo la ti ń register? Ṣé òyìnbó náà la máa sọ ń bẹ̀ ni?
Níbo?
Register wo la ti ń register?
Program yìí ó require registration. It's like a school ni.
Okay, níbo la ti máa register? Ifáṣẹ́mi lórí kò wá register.
Ẹ má wọrí, màá bá yín sọ yẹn lábẹ́ aṣọ.
Okay.
Yeah. So which means if you've registered, that means we have your email. We would have sent you the learning pack. So every week there's a learning pack for the weekly module which will be sent out. You're going to get a PowerPoint slide as well as a workbook because actually you're going to receive a PowerPoint as well as a workbook because there's a lot of exercises in the workbook that obviously the learners are supposed to be doing, which will again help to further accelerate your practice of the language. Okay, so that's the way we structured the module, so that we've got some workbook in there so that you can practice some wordings, you can start writing out some of the words, you can start applying the accents in different words. Again, that's just to help people to accelerate their learning a lot faster. Kó ba lè tètè yé wa ni kò kàn ní dàbẹ́ ní pé a kàn ń gbọ́ sétí nìkan, bọ̀ táwa náà bá ti ń ní nǹkan tá a fi ń ṣeré bí Fáṣọmí lóore ń sìn á ti máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń kọ́ àwọn nǹkan kan sílẹ̀. Òun gan bí mo ṣe ń kọ́ ajá, òun gan ń kọ́ ajá ní ọ̀dọ̀ tiẹ̀, ó dẹ̀ máa ní workbook ẹ̀ tóun dẹ̀ máa dì mú so that a bá ti parí lesson bóyá ń gbà mí òun kàn fẹ́ wò àbó tún fẹ́ lo àwọn different words láti fi wọ́n ṣeré, láti fi wọ́n practice, ó máa lè ṣe yẹn kò kàn ní dàbẹ́ ní kí ta bá wà ní class nìkan ní nǹkan tí mo kọ síwájú tí mo kọ sórí board nìkan la máa nílò, ó máa ní ìwé tiẹ̀ náà lọ́wọ́ àbí lórí iPad ẹ̀ tóun gan máa lè practice different letters and different words and pronunciation. Okay, so we are now in the lesson 4 aspect of today's module. So lesson 4 focuses on what? On the greetings and the cultural etiquette. So nípa ìwà, nípa báwo la ṣe ń bọ̀wọ̀ fúnra wa. Ní lesson 4 yẹn wà pẹ̀lú. Like I've explained, the Yoruba language, everything Yoruba is basically like is our cosmology, is our culture. So the culture is very integral to even learning just words and numbers. The culture has to be taken along with it. Okay, so we're not just the way the module is designed. We're not just teaching how to write words and how to formulate sentences. We are teaching the culture as well with it because you cannot neglect the cultural aspect. Okay, so in lesson 4 we are going to be teaching each other about the greetings, how we pay homage, how we pay reverence, how we pay respect to each other, also to our elders, and obviously to the younger people as well. Okay, for instance, in the Yoruba language, common greetings are "Ẹ káàárọ̀," which means good morning, "Ẹ káàsán," which means good afternoon, "Ẹ káalẹ́," which means good evening. Okay, pay attention to something here. I mean to wipe the board. Let me see. Let me create a bit of room over here. We already know the letters that are missing. Okay. So I'm going to create a little bit of space over here because there's a fundamental aspect of greetings that I need to call out. Okay. So when we say good morning, we say ẹ káàárọ̀, ẹ káàárọ̀, like this. Okay. It says ẹ káàárọ̀. Okay. But notice something, right? But if you break down the word, it's actually like, if you break it down, you could break it down in this way. Ẹ káàárọ̀. Actually, you can break it down into 3 different parts. That could be a lot cleaner. Bear with me a second. Okay. So just good morning. We say ẹ káàárọ̀. Ẹ káàárọ̀. Okay. So if we break it down, there are 3 different, you could say, 3 different words all grouped into one. Okay, ẹ káàárọ̀. The when it comes to Yoruba and recognizing leadership or seniority, there is a way that you speak to people that actually you can recognize. Basically, there's respect and reverence in the way that we talk to each other as well. If somebody is older than you, the way you speak to them is different from the people that are younger than you or your people on your same level. Okay, so means we use that tone for somebody that's older is a marker, is a sign of respect. When you say okay, sometimes it's a sign of respect for somebody, identifying somebody older or somebody more senior, or sometimes it's also used to recognize more than one. Okay, more than one person. Okay, for instance, if I walked into a room and there are 2 people sitting in there, I would say ẹ káàárọ̀, regardless of their age. But it's more than one person, I would say ẹ káàárọ̀. But if that person is younger than me, I could say káàárọ̀, and it's one person. If it's somebody younger, I could say káàárọ̀, that means good morning to you. Okay, káàárọ̀. But if it's an elderly person, I would say ẹ káàárọ̀. It's just that that's in the Yoruba language. Ìwà Pẹ is a fundamental aspect of the Yoruba culture and the Yoruba cosmology. You're going to hear Yoruba people, they pay a lot of homage, a lot of reverence. Okay, that's very common. So what you see is ẹ káàárọ̀. It's actually a combination of 3 different letters. The sometimes it means more than one person or an older person. Ẹ káàárọ̀ is actually ẹ kú àárọ̀. Okay, àárọ̀ means what? Morning. So this àárọ̀ means morning. Morning. So it's good morning ultimately, but it's a combination of 3 words when you really break it down. Ẹ kú àárọ̀ combined and abbreviated together is called ẹ káàárọ̀. The key thing I wanted to call out there is the reason why we have the in front of it. If I'm just talking to somebody at my level or my age or younger, I can just say káàárọ̀. But the in front of it is basically identifying either seniority or I'm referring to more than one person. Okay? And it's the same way when you want to say ẹ káàsán, you say ẹ káàsán, ẹ káàsán. So that's again, you could break that down into 3 different letters. Okay? Again, identifying the person, my target person is either a senior or somebody of seniority, or I'm referring to more than one person. So it's important to identify that. Ẹ káàsán, that means good afternoon. This means good morning. This means good afternoon. Okay? Or you could say ẹ káalẹ́, which means good night. Good evening, rather. Ekale. Okay. Ekale. Okay, which means good evening. Okay, so what do we have there? Ekaro. Should we practice that? Just me. Yeah, me, I can do. Can we practice saying that?
Ẹ káàárọ̀.
Say after me. Ekaro.
Ẹ káàárọ̀ ya Ifá ṣe mí lórí.
Is it me or is it the other young lady?
All of us. All
Ya
of
bọ́
us.
síbi.
Ika aro.
Ekaro.
I'm not supposed to roll the R, right? I forgot to get with that.
Ọya follow.
Ika
Ekaro.
Ika ro.
Raw. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ẹ káàárọ̀.
Not akaro. If I show me the ring, it's
Ifá ṣe mí lórí sọ pé ẹ káàárọ̀. Ọya.
That's better.
Ika aro.
Yes. Thank you. Just me. You're getting the hang of this.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah. Good start. Good start. And then for good afternoon is ekason. Ekason.
Ẹ káàsán.
Ika aso.
Better. Yeah, that was good. Ekason. And that's good afternoon. And then good evening is ekale.
Ika ale.
Ekale.
Ika ale.
Yeah, better. If I show me Lori, go ahead.
Ọya bọ́ síbi kò wá ọya máa gbé fóònù ọwọ́ ẹ̀. Ọya wá ṣe é kalẹ̀. Ọ̀rọ̀ sókè.
Yeah, that was good.
Ika ale.
Yeah, ekale. Yeah, your second attempt was much better. Okay? That was good. Keep practicing it. So, yeah, ekaro for good morning, ekason for good afternoon, and ekale for good evening. Okay?
Ẹ kúrọ̀lẹ́ wá ń kọ́.
Eku ìrọ̀lẹ́ as well for good evening as well. Eku ìrọ̀lẹ́. Actually, I was
Ìrọ̀lẹ́ is different from
about to
alẹ́
say
o.
ale means night. Ale means night. So you could say eka ale is actually the most accurate way to say eka ale. It actually means you're greeting somebody for the night. It doesn't. The reason I didn't use it is it doesn't mean good night, because obviously when the English people say good night, that means almost like, oh, good night. That means they're leaving, they're departing from you. But in Yoruba language, when you say ekale, it doesn't mean you're departing from that person. It just means you're greeting that person. You just happen to meet them in the night. But when English people say good night, they're not saying, it's not a welcoming greeting. It's like a departing. They're leaving.
Good
Okay,
night
that's
is ó
why-
dàárọ̀ o.
Ó dàárọ̀ làwa máa sọ ní sọ pé ẹ̀ka alẹ́ tá a bá ń fi yín lẹ̀ torí ẹ̀ ni mo ṣe kọ́kọ́ ló ń bẹ̀ yẹn. Yeah.
That means wípé they are our greeting that English doesn't have it. They are our
Yes.
Yoruba that English doesn't have it. English ò ní ẹ
Correct.
kúrọ̀lẹ́, kò ní ẹ ká,
Yes,
ó ní
but-
ẹ kálẹ́, kò ní ẹ kúrọ̀lẹ́ àbí kò ní ẹ kúrọ̀lẹ́ àbí báwọn ṣe ń sọ, kò ní ẹ
Ẹ̀ka
kálẹ́,
ọ̀lẹ́ àwọn máa sọ pé good evening.
kò ní ẹ kálẹ́.
Wọ́n ò ní ẹ̀ka alẹ́.
Yeah.
Wọ́n ò ní ẹ̀ka alẹ́. Good evening náà lọ sí máa pè.
Yeah.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, yeah, that's true. So in the English language, they don't have good night for just, okay, if you meet somebody in the night, it is not the evening. If it's in the night, they don't have a greeting for that. Okay? They're still going to say good evening or hello or hi. They don't have good night, as in good night. It doesn't mean I'm leaving you. I'm just recognizing that, okay, I'm greeting you in the night. But in Yoruba language, we have that. which is ẹ káalẹ́. Okay? Ẹ kú rọ̀lẹ́, in Yoruba language, ẹ kú rọ̀lẹ́ is good evening because ìrọ̀lẹ́ ní evening.
Bàbá mi,
Mo ń gbọ́ yín mà.
nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ni pé a ní greeting ní ọjọ́ kan tó ríṣi bíi mẹ́fà. Àwa la ní ẹ kú dàájí early in the morning.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Àwa la ní ẹ káàárọ̀.
Àwa la ní kíkí, àwa la ní ọ̀wọ̀.
Àwa la ní tí ò sí bóyá bíi around 12 o'clock pé in the afternoon ẹ kú ìyálẹ̀ta.
Exactly.
Àwa la ní ẹ kú rọ̀lẹ́ tí rọ̀lẹ́ bá ti ẹ káàsán tọ̀sán bá ti pọ́n gogogo láago kan àbágo aago méjì. Àwa la ní ẹ kú rọ̀lẹ́ látago 4 sí 6. Àwa la ní ẹ káalẹ́, àwa la ní ó dàárọ̀.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Àwa la ní ojúmọ́ ire. Yorùbá dùn.
Yorùbá dùn. So yeah, bẹ́ẹ̀ni lóòótọ́.
Ó dùn gan.
Torí àwa la ní pé à ń kíyàn pa à ń bọ̀wọ̀ ọwọ́ àti ìwà. Àwa la ní. So what ìyá mi was saying there is in the Yoruba language it's a lot more dynamic when it comes to greeting. We even have other greetings like in the afternoon. How you greet somebody when it's midday, how you greet somebody when it's midnight, and other circumstances. It's a lot more dynamic. There's a lot more variety of greetings in the Yoruba language that you don't necessarily have the direct English translation for. Or shall I say the direct English representation for. Gbogbo ilé ẹjọ́ bá mi paragraph ẹ bá mi share command to alọ̀dà wà nù again o. Ìyá mi ọmọ fáàṣì mo ṣe bá yín o mo ṣe bá jóní lọ. Bàbá mi ọmọ Oòduà mo dípẹ́ iná ti padà wá. Ẹ káàbọ̀. TikTok ló dà wá nù lẹ́ẹ̀kan. Ní sọnù lórí ayé nínú ayé lágbára Èdùmàrè. So yeah, so we've got the greetings in there, okay? So like I said, everything is about practicing, okay? So we've used the daytime greeting and the nighttime greetings of ẹ káàárọ̀, ẹ káàsán, ẹ kú ìrọ̀lẹ́, ẹ káalẹ́, okay? And then there's also báwo ni, that which means báwo ni means how is it going? Ṣé dáadáa ni, are you doing well? How ṣé dáadáa ni, báwo ni, ṣé dáadáa ni.
Are you okay?
Which means are you okay? Are you all right? Okay? Báwo ni, ṣé dáadáa ni, or you could say ẹ ṣé, which means thank you, which is a short form of ẹ ṣeun. It's the same thing, but most people will say ẹ ṣé, but for short, but it's basically a short form of ẹ ṣeun, which means thank you. Okay? So yeah, so it's about understanding that in Yoruba, there's a lot of greetings in the Yoruba language, okay, and there's a lot of, we show respect in the way that in our selection of the tonality, we show different respect and we pay reverence to people that are superior, people that are older. Even sometimes younger people, they get that kind of reverence as well from older people. Okay, sometimes you may hear a mother when they're speaking to their children or a child, they may say, ẹ káàsán, ẹ kú iṣẹ́ ńbẹ̀ yẹn o. You see, even the mother or the father is using ẹ for the child. It's just recognizing, it's honoring the child. So it's not like something like bullying, like being domineering. It's just the language. There's a lot of reverence, and we pay a lot of homage to our ancestors. We pay a lot of homage to our superiors. Okay, like our mother and our fathers, they carry a very, very heavy weighting in the Yoruba culture. When somebody's older than you, even if it's by a day, you are expected to honor that person. It doesn't matter, even if it's just by a couple of months. When that person is older than you, in the way you communicate, you must recognize that seniority. You must give that kind of reverence. You must give that kind of respect, that kind of honor when you're communicating with that person. Okay? Ìyá mi ọmọ fáṣ mo ṣe bá jí ní lọ sí dáadáa ní mà. Ẹ kú àtàtàárọ̀ o.
Mo ṣe labọ́ mo ṣe labọ́ yẹ gbogbo ilé o.
Gbogbo àtọ́ ìyá mi. Gbogbo
Mo
àtọ́.
kí gbogbo ilé pátápátá ń kọ̀ọ̀kan o. Ìyá
Gbogbo
àgbà
àtọ́.
mo kí yín o ìyá. Olórí ẹgbẹ́ mo kí yín. Just through me, mo kí I say good evening to you. Ọmọ Oòduà mo kí gbogbo ilé o. Bàbá mi yẹ kú iṣẹ́ ìrúmọlẹ̀ o.
Ẹ ṣeun mà.
Ẹ káalẹ́ ń bẹ̀ yẹn o. Ẹ káalẹ́ gbogbo ilé mo kí gbogbo ilé.
Ẹ káalẹ́ ìyá mi. Ẹ kọ́ àtàkárọ̀. A máa rí bá òní wa yín sí lágbára Èdùmàrè.
Àṣẹ Èdùmàrè ẹ ṣé.
Ẹ ṣeun. So yeah. So understanding that. So and thank you is eshe. So when you say thank you is eshe, which is thank you.
Ẹ ṣé adúpẹ́.
Yeah. Adúpẹ́ means I give thanks. Adúpẹ́ means I give thanks. It's a show of
Ẹ
appreciation.
ṣé náà ni adúpẹ́ o bàbá mi. Ẹ má túmọ̀ ẹ̀ sí English o. Ẹ ṣé ni adúpẹ́ kò bá English lọ o.
But the literal translation ni.
No, English kò bá English lọ. Kò correct. Adúpẹ́ náà ni ẹ ṣé.
Ọpẹ́ means thanks. Ìyọ̀dẹ̀ tí ọ̀sìn ọba dá nǹkan, àdá ọpẹ́ means you're giving, you're give. So that means
Bàbá mi,
àdá
ẹ lè sọ pé
ọpẹ́ we give thanks.
Ipe English máa ń pè bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ àwa appreciate ẹ̀ jù yẹn lọ.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni,
Adúpẹ́ tẹ bá ń sọ ẹ ṣé àná adúpẹ́ àná.
Exactly.
It's not about thank you, nigga. It's not about thanks.
Yeah. It's a bit more than just thanks.
Inú wọn dùn.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, ìyá mi. So if we're breaking it down, which means what? Which means re, dúpẹ́. What does that mean? Re, what?
Mímí. Re mímí. Adúpẹ́.
Re mímí. Ẹ ṣé ńkọ́?
Ẹ ṣé re mí.
That's re mi. Exactly. So you can see the way the words are broken down. Sometimes in Yoruba language, one may appear as a single word. You can actually break it down. You can break it down to its smallest form, and then you realize it's actually more than one word combined together. You see that in a lot of languages, not just the Yoruba language. But ultimately, when you're saying thank you or thanks, you say eshe, okay? And or adúpẹ́ means I give thanks, but it's a lot big. It's in the language, in the Yoruba language, it carries more weight than just giving thanks. Adúpẹ́ it's more honorable, and that's what Iyami Akeju was saying earlier. Bugbele Jaba Power Tap. Lupi Mendoka, I want to learn Yoruba. That's why we're here. So what I can do is, if you drop me a message, I'll send you the brochure. Okay? That's why we're here. How good I discovered this channel. Well, we're happy you're with us as well. Oh, greetings. Are you from Brazil? Oh, wonderful. I know that Isese and Ifa is very big in Brazil. So yeah, you're definitely going to benefit from this. And the next one. So week 1, we've been covering all the week 1 learning activities. Obviously, there's also things like there are additional greetings in there. Okay. In the Yoruba language, just to give a bit of cultural reflection, we understanding the language and the wordings is it's very linked to character, your behavior. Okay? So a máa sọ pé ẹni tí ó bá mọ ọ̀rọ̀ á mọ ìwà. That means if you know how to use your words to pay homage, to pay respect, to give appreciation, to give thanks, then you are going to have a good character. Ẹni tó bá mọ ọ̀rọ̀ á mọ ìwà. If you know how to convey respect in your tone, then obviously that means you're going to know how to display a good, positive character. Okay? Ẹni tó bá mọ ọ̀rọ̀ á mọ ìwà. Okay? It's the same way. Ẹni tí ó bá mọ ọ̀rọ̀ kò ní mọ ìwà. Even if you are if you have good intentions, if you don't know how to convey your good intentions by selecting the appropriate words for different contexts, for different scenario, you may not be able to come, and you may come across as a bit brutish. You may come across as a bit disrespectful by not selecting the right words, the appropriate words in the right scenarios, in the right circumstances. Okay, so learning the words, is very important. It's an important part of the culture. Okay, so reflection questions. Why is respect important in Yoruba communication? Ẹ̀yin ìyá wa lè bá wa dáhùn yẹn o. Kí ni ìdí tí ọ̀wọ̀ ṣe pàtàkì nínú èdè Yorùbá? Why is respect so important in the Yoruba language? So who wants to answer that? Who wants to answer that? Bàbá mi ẹ káàbọ̀, bàbá mi ọmọ Oòduà, mo ṣe bá dún nílọ o. Ẹ má bínú ẹ̀kan TikTok ló ṣòjòrò mẹ́ẹ̀ o. Ok, ṣe bàbá wa dáhùn ìbéèrè yìí. Why is respect important in the Yoruba language? Kí ni ìdí tí ọ̀wọ̀ ká máa bọ̀wọ̀ fún àwọn èèyàn ṣe pàtàkì nínú èdè Yorùbá? Does anyone want to answer that? Okay, èmi á dáhùn question yẹn gbà yẹn. Ká máa bọ̀wọ̀ fúnra wa, it basically it's a way of honoring people in the Yoruba language. Yoruba language and Yoruba culture is very, very big on reverence, on honoring and respect. Okay, because when they palowe tó jọ bí òwe àwọn àgbà, wọ́n ní ọ̀wọ̀ kékeré ni ara ń fẹ́. That means the human body, the person, people in general just require a little bit of respect, a little bit of courtesy. Okay, it's like it removes or reduces friction in human interaction. Okay, when it comes to respect is like a lubricant which reduces friction in human interaction. It reduces conflict. Okay, because sometimes maybe you run into somebody that you don't know. You're meeting a stranger. You come in contact with a stranger. You're not sure how that person is. That person a good person? Should I watch out? Should I be defensive? But if that person approaches you in the right manner, using the right language of respect, of honor, you start, what happens in that scenario? You relax a little bit, right? You feel less, you feel more relaxed around that kind of person, regardless of where they're from. If a stranger walk up to you in the street and through their use of language, their selection of words, if they communicate in a respectful manner, automatically you feel a bit safer around that person. You feel a bit safer to engage. That person may be a stranger, but if they communicate with you in the right language, showing enough respect and reverence, it reduces friction in human-to-human communication. Okay? So, which is why it's very important in the Yoruba language. That respect, that reverence is very important. It's a peaceful language. It's a peaceful culture. Okay, we should be developing. We should be building. We don't want to have to spend too much time and energy on a simple matter of respect. So it's expected. It's embedded in the Yoruba language. That respect. Sometimes the people from the outside looking in, they don't understand why the Yoruba people are like that. Why are you always, pause, you see a lot of Yoruba people like prostrating, right? When we see an elder, a Yoruba man is going to prostrate, when we see our mothers or our fathers, we're going to say Ekaso, Ekale, as if you were in front of a king, because our parents are like, they're like royalty to us. Elders, they're like royalty in the Yoruba kingdom, in the Yoruba community. Okay, so we pay homage a lot. Like I said, it's because ọ̀wọ̀ kékeré lára ń fẹ́, ọ̀wọ̀ a máa yọ ìdààmú àti ìjà àti ìdojúkọ kúrò nínú àárín àwọn ọmọ ènìyàn. Tá a bá ń bọ̀wọ̀ fúnra wa a ní lè tètè bára wa jà. Tí wọ́n bá ń bọ̀wọ̀ fẹ́mi tèmi bá ń bọ̀wọ̀ fẹ́yìn kò ní time pa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń jà. If you're showing respect, if you're speaking to me in a respectful manner, I'm speaking to you in a respectful manner, then it reduces the chances of any friction, any confrontation happening between us. Okay, which is why respect is a big thing in the Yoruba culture. Okay, Ìwà Pẹ, good character. Okay, it is very, very important. Ìwà ọmọlúwàbí, Ìwà Pẹ is something which is literally one of the pillars of the community, of the Yoruba community, of the whole Yoruba system. Okay. So how do greetings express good character? It's through Ìwà Pẹ, because you can use your greetings to what? To demonstrate that you are of good character. Okay? You could use your language, your selection of words to demonstrate whether or not you are of good character. And Yoruba people pay attention to that a lot. Okay? It's a very quick way to identify what kind of person you're dealing with. What kind of character you're dealing with, their choice of words, their addition of reverence and or their omission. If I walk into a room today and I see elderly people there and I say something like castle to an elderly person, they already know that I lack home training. They don't need to know anymore. You know, I may be the best, the most charitable person on the planet. I may be the most brilliant mind on the planet, the biggest inventor on the planet. But through that simple communication, that simple greeting, the person I'm speaking to would know what type of upbringing that I have. If I can look at an elderly person and say Kaso or Karo without putting the air, what did I say earlier? When you put the air in front of it, it identifies what? That the person you're speaking to is older. Okay? Or you're talking to more than one person. You're talking to more than one person. Okay? Just through a simple greeting in Yoruba land, you would be able to know what kind of character you're dealing with. Okay? So it's very important. Just one word carries a lot of meaning. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just the omission of that air alone. Even Yoruba people even play it safe. Once you reach a certain age, you are expected to, like, let's say for instance, I run into my age mates, maybe people I went to school with. When we were younger, I would probably be talking to them like the people on my own level. Okay, I'll be saying, okay, bawoni. But now that we are all parents and we are all adults, if I ran into the same people today, I'm not gonna be using the same language I used when we were in school. No, I'll be talking to them as if they were my parents. I'll be honoring the parents inside them. I'll be honoring them as parents, as elderly people too, even though our ages might be the same. But we are all adults now. We are all parents now. I cannot be talking to them like I used to when we were in high school. I might even regard them as when you hear me talking, I might even say, baba mi báwo ni ṣe dáadáa ni? Kí lẹ̀ ń ṣe? Báwo ni? You see, I'm talking to him as if I'm talking to my father. That, you see, because we've reached an age of maturity. Is somebody's father now. Is not my father, but I am going to recognize him as somebody's father. She's somebody's mother now. Actually, you know what? So you don't even when it comes to women in the Yoruba culture, we recognize all women as like our mothers anyway, regardless of whether they've actually they've given birth to children or not. Okay, we recognize females as mothers, so we recognize the divine femininity inside females. Okay, so we honor females, we honor women a lot, even young girls. In our culture, we recognize that that's somebody that that's somebody that can bear a child. Obviously, they haven't reached that level of maturity yet, but we just give them that extra bit of honoring in Yoruba language, okay? You just give them that extra bit, we just recognize the divine femininity in them. For instance, I've got a daughter. She's only 5. But when my grandmother came over, when my daughter was only like maybe 3, and she saw her conduct in the house, my grandmother was telling me that, what does that mean? She was saying, oh, you've given birth to your mother. Because my daughter, she's very mature for her age. She acts like an old woman. You see? So my grandmother is recognizing that, and she's telling me that you have to honor the divine femininity in your daughter, because she sees her conduct, the way she goes on. My daughter tried to tell me what to do, and she's only 5. It's a bit of a funny thing when you see the way she goes on. But my grandmother identified that in her, and then when my grandmother said that, and I'm like, I just nodded. I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, she was only 3. I think she was only 3 at the time, but my daughter was already acting as if she was like she was my mother in the way that she behaves, and she's still like that till this day. Okay, so yeah, she's even told me once before. There was sometimes one day we were on holiday, and she said something, and I'm like, hey, like, who's the? Are you my parent, or am I your parent? I said, don't tell me what to do. I'm not. You're not my mother. You know what she said? She said, yes, I am. She said, I am. And I looked at her. She was very serious when she said that. I told her, don't tell me what to do. You're not my mother. And what did she say? She said, I am. So the minute she said that, I just remembered what my grandmother told me. I remembered what my grandmother told me from when she was little, when she was 3. That, so basically, Yoruba language, there's an extra bit of reverence. In the Yoruba community, there's a bit of extra reverence, extra respect, extra honor that we pay, extra homage that we pay to our women, just females in general. And obviously, they do show that kind of honor, that kind of respect back. Okay, and even Ifa speaks about it as well. So yeah, when it comes to Yoruba culture, Ìwà Pẹ, good character, good nature, good honoring people is a fundamental aspect of it. We cannot neglect that. Okay, so yeah, so which brings us to the ending of week 1. So like I said the last time, so the Yoruba foundation level is a 12-week program. It's a 10 to 12 week program. At the end of each lesson, there are activities. Like I said, there is a module, there's a workbook that I expect the learners to take away and practice some of the things that we've done together today. You're supposed to take that away and then practice it in your own time. Okay? Practice it in your own time. But I thank everybody for your contributions today. It's been fun, hasn't it? So thank you everybody for your contributions today again. Yeah, so that's the Yoruba foundation. But we also have isese. We've got isese foundation as well. So that's what we're going to dive into shortly. Okay.